Karen, I am going to tell you, your bio tricked me into thinking that you were not going to be as funny and fun as I've already witnessed you in the last 2 minutes. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for bringing joy and giddiness to a subject that people probably don't laugh a lot about.
Absolutely. If you don't have any joy, this is going to be a long journey.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's start with how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
Well, I'm saying yes to myself because I want to make sure that this testament that I've written in the Epic IEP lives on long after I'm gone. So it serves people at the highest level. And it makes me feel like the thing that I was put on this earth to do, um, I'm doing it. It's the best thing ever.
Oh, I love that for you. And there is so much joy in following your own yes and have that turn into something that was inside of you, but now other people can hold it in their hands. It's
Absolutely.
so beautiful.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a fabulous journey.
for sure. Okay, and I'm going to make you say the very funny thing that you said about your microphone
Yeah,
because
I'm
I'm
sorry.
still giggling about that.
My microphone was not working earlier. And I said, you know what? This is just like my first husband. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And it costs me a lot of money.
It's so funny.
Yes. Yes. It's funny after, isn't it? Isn't it,
Oh, right.
officers? The funny is not during, it's post.
Exactly. And I think why I found it so funny is that it was so much like my first husband.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to keep the first one. It,
No,
it's like, when you apply for college, if you don't get in the first one, do another one.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't keep number two either, but that's okay.
You know what? We're not quitters, are we, Wendy?
No, we're not.
Not.
My knower is working
There you go.
for sure. Oh my goodness. Okay, so how are you melding being a special education advocate with a multi-decade career in stand-up comedy?
I think the great thing about comedy, and you are an educator, an entertainer, an engager. There's something about comedy that unites all of us, right? And we have to talk about uncomfortable truths in a way that people keep listening. And comedy makes everybody in the room take a breath, and it unites us, right? We're more alike by our challenges than our successes, right? And so I am trying to have people, whether it's a school district training, an IEP meeting, a federal mediation, I have to have people work with me. And so if they can decompress a little bit and realize that we're all humans, it gives us much better odds of working together.
For sure. I was a wedding planner for 30 years and I used to bake cookies for the rehearsal. And it's a similar tactic. It helped the boys listen to me. Oh, wait, that cookie lady is talking. Where are we supposed to be? And then they would do anything for me the whole rest of the wedding weekend. So I get that. I love
Yes.
how we get to use all of our gifts in the thing that is lighting us up. It's really
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so fun. So tell me about the book. What was the catalyst for writing it, and how has this ride been for you?
Well, you know what they say, buckle up. We're going to have some turbulence. I've been doing, the gift that's inside of you, Wendy, or that's inside of me is not for us. It's for somebody else, right?
Yes.
And I wanted to make sure that the thing out of my greatest pain, God birthed my biggest calling. He just did. I was not planning on this. I was planning on being popular, not effective, right? And I didn't ask for this, right? Nobody asks for this. But as I've walked through it, I have very high processing speed and I go very fast. And I just assumed that once I said it 8,462 million times, that people would know what I said. And so there's nothing more important than leaving your testament, your love note to people so that they can access those same outcomes. And so writing an Epic IEP gives a family hope. It gives a
Mhm.
child a future. And I am not an educator. I'm a college dropout. Again, not a quitter. I've dropped out of a lot of colleges. And so this is the same 7-part framework that I would use if I was representing my child, if I was training a school district, one of my partner advocates. There's a saying that educators, and God bless educators, they take our children all day for some reason and keep them. But there's a saying that educators can take something simple and make it complicated. And right, so special education was already complicated enough. The federal law is 500 pages long because we eat Cheetos and read that every night, right? And so I took this very complicated, very technical, very legal process and boiled it down into a way that's actionable. Because if you don't have something that's actionable, you've motivated somebody, you've overwhelmed them. I wanted it to be a resource for anybody that sits at the table. So if you're a CASA parent, a foster parent, a first-year teacher, a paraprofessional, a principal, an advocate, a parent, you literally can take this book, and at the end of every chapter, there's a checklist for parents, a checklist for educators, a checklist for advocates, and you could take a blank piece of paper and write an IEP that changes a child's life.
Wow. Oh, it's really beautiful. And I would love for you even just to back up a little bit, and for people who aren't aware, what is an IEP and why was this important for you?
Right. So so an IEP is an individualized education program. It's a coaching plan for kiddos that need more than the general ed teacher could provide on their own. So both of my boys were athletes and ended up being professional athletes. And we always had coaches. It didn't mean, oh, the coaches at school were terrible. It just needed, they needed more training and more specificity. So an IEP, it's not a scarlet letter. You're not in trouble. Nobody knows. Everybody's like, it's going to be on their record. There's no record. I walk around every day. I've never seen anybody's school record just holding it in their hand, right? And so these are kiddos that just needed a different measure of support with specificity. And so how I got my start was I was at my salon one day, and I had a son, and my first son was born perfect. He got a 9 on his APGAR. I feel like that's honor roll.
Yes.
Honor roll. And everything was perfect. And his 18-month checkup, we went in, got everything. We came home, he became very sick, and he started rocking and screaming and yelling and putting his head through the sheet rock. So I'm thinking, this is not good, right? But as a first-time mother, I called all my relatives and friends, because that's a good idea. When you have a challenge with your child, ask somebody else. And I remember one of my aunts was like, your cousin Billy used to do that stuff. One time he jumped off the roof. He's fine now. I was like, oh, okay. Aunt Pearl, I don't think that's really what happened. And so this was the 90s. And so we went to a bunch of people and finally had him evaluated. And this very unwarm and fuzzy lady in Austin, she was an occupational therapist. And she did his evaluation. She goes, well, we did his evaluation. He has autism, severe autism. He has 15 of the 16 markers. He'll never play with children, probably won't graduate high school, for sure won't have friends. You'll probably have to put him in a home. You want a copy of this report?
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, are you teaching a soft skills class later? I don't. So I snatched it out of her hand, because that's what people do. And I got in the car that day, and we put James in his car seat, and I just had this resolve. And I thought, if me and Oprah and God can figure this out,
that's right.
This will not be the call on my child's life. It just will not be. That's not possible. And I didn't know what I was doing, which is probably most days, but I just did it. And so sorry for the people in the 90s. And I wasn't going to take that as his declaration. And so one of my clients at the salon said that you could start PPCD when you were 3 years old. So we started him in school. And so my husband calls me. He's been in school for about a month. And he said, I'm not kidding. And if you ever call me, you should start that way if you're going to say something really serious.
For sure.
And he said, there is a lady here from Child Protective Services. She's gone to the school. We've been reported for being bad parents. They took all of his clothes off to check him for marks. Is now a good time to talk? And I think, moms and dads or anybody listening, that's how life comes, right? It's not scheduled. It's not in the planner. It just is, right? And so I was like, of course, now's a good time to talk, right? And she was very aggressive. And she's like, do you think it's normal that he chews his fingers till he bleeds? No. Do you think it's normal that he puts everything in his mouth and eats it? No. Do you think it's normal that he had language and he lost it? No. And she said, well, that's what your husband said too. Okay. And what are you doing about it? I said, we send them across the street to PPCD, preschool programs for children with disabilities, to get help. And she goes, well, that's what your husband said too. I am going to leave my information in a brochure in case we take him into custody. What?
What?
What? What? Are we filming? What is going on? And so my life was already chaos and just awful in every possible way because my whole life, Wendy, I've been able to either control a situation or write a check. And guess
Right.
what? Neither one of those were needed or going to work. And so I was devastated. I was crushed. And so I worked it out with my creator. They all looked at me like I was a lunatic at the school, but I just let it go. I think I even bought her a Christmas gift. And January, the phone rings again. And it was the same worker for CPS. We've already been, nothing was found there. And she said, I'm so sorry to bother you. It was a Sunday because it was the great Super Bowl. And she said, but obviously somebody somewhere likes to make phone calls and we have to follow up on all of them.
Mm.
And so I went down the next day and don't do any of this. Anybody listening, don't do what I did. And I took my cart. And every parent of a child with a disability knows what the cart is. It's the rolling cart with all of your papers. Because we got papers from the pediatrician. We got papers from the vet. We got papers on papers on papers on papers. And I went down to the CPS office and I barged in like Shirley MacLaine in terms of endearment. And I said, I want to see my case manager. Okay, you don't have, ma'am. And he was like, okay. So he rides up with me in the elevator. We go down the hall and there's my case manager. And we open the door and she's our case manager. And she might be Wendy. She might have been 22 years old and one day.
Right.
And I was like, do you know anything about autism? And she goes, I think when I was a sophomore, we had a seminar. And I was like, are you my leader? But it was the best day of my life because she was the first person ever to hand me a resource to help me. And I thought in that moment, how bizarre that we live in America. And the first person to give me a resource was a child protective service investigator. She gave me a card that day for MHMR of Travis County, and it's mental health and retardation. We don't call it that anymore, but it's agency services. And so I did get a case manager who I think also was 23, and I would take her with me to meetings. And if it wasn't going good, Winnie, I would go, we're just gonna take a break. And she would look at me and I was like, let's go stand in the hall. And she would go out there with me. She goes, what are we doing? I'm like, I have no idea, but I've seen this on TV. I don't know. Right. And then we would go back in and we would go, well, and they would do the right thing. So that's not what I teach. Standing in the hall is often helpful, but that was my entree into special ed. I wasn't going to do this. I am not a professional at it. I was there. I'm his mom, right? And then I just became obsessed with these children, obsessed with this amazing federal law, obsessed with educators. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do, Wendy? I'm just going to go in there in Round Rock Elementary School and just tell them, hey, you guys, there's this law. You probably didn't know about it. And we can help kids with disabilities and we'll work together. And then we'll all, ride off into the sunset with a basket of puppies. And that is not what happened 30 years ago. And it's not what happens today. And so over the years, I've learned the why it happens, but that's not really important. It's not why, it's what's next. I walk alongside families and school districts and advocates to teach them and serve them what is next so that we can work together as a group to get students what they need so they can be successful adults.
Oh my gosh. It's big, beautiful work.
It's like my hair. It's big and beautiful.
Yeah, it is big and beautiful. Your hair is amazing.
Yeah. And it's just, there's 8.5 million children as we sit here in the middle of 2026, 8.5 million children in America with an IEP, a special ed program. And what we do during those educational years will set them up for destruction or destiny. And I mean it. And so we have to get it right now. So you and I, Wendy, if we needed to acquire more information, we could just take another class as adults. That's not always an option for kids with disabilities. They need that intervention now. This is America. We have every ability to do it, and we are going to continue to do it so that the kids win.
Right. I relocated to Massachusetts from California about 14 years ago, and I'm really amazed, I guess, for lack of a better word, the the systems that are in place in Massachusetts for special needs children and the education process and the staffing that goes into the elementary school. I mean, I only have insight into elementary school, but I'm assuming they don't just set everybody up and then let them go at grade 8. But it's just remarkable to me that there can be so much attention and infrastructure in one part of the country and not in other parts of the country. So,
Correct.
what are you finding in your work and how do we fix
Right.
that?
So it is, I'm going to fix it. I'm just going to fix it by Labor Day. It'll be fixed, you guys. Don't worry.
Oh,
I'm on it.
nice.
I'm on
Okay,
it.
good. I'll
So,
get you a drink.
so first of all, the education system is usually the largest employer in any state, county, or city. And they have systems set up, right? I went to school 100 years ago in a covered wagon. And if the school said something, Coach Johnson said something at Jerpin Springs, that was it. Right now, if your priest or your investment person or your realtor said something you didn't agree with, you would go ask somebody else. But if the school said it, it is gospel, right? And that's still true today. People have this very unholy alliance with the school said. I'm allergic to the school said. I'm like, show me, just show me the statute, right? And so it happens as I train that 3/4 of people that I train are school based members. You know why? Because they want the training. It does not exist in public schools. And, we have this little law that's 500 pages long. I would have assumed that every special educator, every educator um, got a copy of the law book, right? Why wouldn't you want your educators to have that 50-year-old law? And I know why, but that's a webinar for another day. And so teachers are amazing. They love kiddos. But if we don't do what they need based upon amazing evaluations and critical areas of need, we are handicapping them even more with a good heart, but we're making it worse. And so my heart is to serve the entire team, share the resources that I have. We can get it right for the child. And my mission statement is when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. And when we don't get it right for the child, we don't get it right for anybody. And so schools have got to do better. When I say schools, I mean the bean counters, the leaders, the people at the top level are very aware of their obligations, duties, and responsibilities. We need to pay teachers. We need to celebrate teachers. We need to serve them. And we need to staff their rooms. And we can. School districts are not running low on money. We are a little confused about appropriation of funds. And currently, most people in schools, based upon what I experience, at the top level, do not believe that a child with a disability has the same ROI as a child that does not have disabilities. And what I know is that every child is ridiculously amazing. And, most kids with disabilities will never be a school board meeting photo op. And the things that we celebrate in schools doesn't really matter as an adult. Nobody cares that I was the drum major, but I was, Wendy, and I had my uniform in there. I can't get it on, but I could hold it up. These things give time and attention, and they're great, right? Football and, sparkly eyeshadow and drill team and the golf team and the debate team. But all of us are supposed to be raising and teaching kiddos to be successful adults, post-secondary, gainful employment, independent living, and further education. And kids with disabilities have capacity. They have capacity, but we have to give them the help that they need to get closer to equity.
Mm. How do you see that playing out just in a, completely your wildest dream comes true? How does that play out side by side in school systems where kids are integrated into classrooms? And because I think that some of the concerns, some of the thoughts, the ideas that parents in the school in my town have said, like, well, my child is not getting the attention they need because some other kids are requiring more attention. And it's just
Right. And
like,
that's accurate, right? And part of that is, 10 years ago, Wendy, I couldn't get a child with a disability included And since the pandemic, which has been one of the biggest blessings in my life, because I used to go in person to do IEP meetings, and then Friday, February 13th of March 2020, our governor came on the internet and he said that schools were closed. And I was like, great, I'm unemployed and about to be homeless, right? But my boys went to Ace Hardware, Wendy, and they got me this thing. It's called an Ethernet cord. I thought it was witchcraft, but you take the ether and the net, and then they're one accord. And then the next week, I'm doing IEP meetings in the Kodiak Islands and Miami-Dade County, Florida. So
Amazing.
it is true what people are saying. Nobody's needs override somebody else's needs. Adults, children, disabled children, valedictorian children, they're all children, right? And so that is the fault of leadership, because those amazing teachers have already gone to Mr. Smith or Miss Jones or Mr. Garcia, the principals, and said, this ain't that. This is not working. And they pat them on the head and go Bobcats, you're doing good, right? So
Yep.
they already know. And how I know of that is because I teach and train these teachers. And so we have already had in the first half of the year, I can't even count how many school districts we've been to. We have done professional developments in charter schools and online and in person as we travel the nation. And we're giving them this information in a way that's actionable, right? The federal law is overwhelming. And, it's 116 statutes. And people have just been so excited. We've been everywhere from New York to San Francisco and in between, and all these amazing people. And leadership now in schools, we do professional development so that they can teach their evaluators, their diagnosticians, their principals. We've just got to reteach everybody instead of just Wendy, remember your why. Let's stop saying that. What we need to remember is your who. And the who is a child that needs you to educate them. They're all general ed students. Some of them need special ed services. And so when we leave a child in a setting that the child is not successful, that's our fault. That's not the child's fault. That's not the parent's fault. No child said, oh, I hope I have a disability. No parent prayed and said, I hope my kid struggles. Nobody wants that. Parents of kids with disabilities walk around with so much shame already. I hope I'm not upsetting this. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Birthday parties and Christmases and bar mitzvahs, we're just ruining everybody's experience. And so nobody wants that. And so we've pitted like these disabled children against whatever. And I'm here to, fabuloso all of that and clear that up. Let's not do that. Let's all step back. These are children, and some children need a setting other than general ed. We have that. It's called a continuum of placements, but those continuum placements are more of a financial investment. And I gently help people get there, right? And so I am never going to waver, waffle, or water it down. And if people like that, fantastic. If they don't like that, fantastic. My commitment is not wavering because these children need this special education intervention. I believe that the appropriate special education intervention is as important as a medical intervention. And so if we have a prescription, it doesn't say, hey, Wendy, just grab a handful if you're having a rough day. We have prescription bottles that have more information than IEPs, right? I get IEPs that are 16 pages long. I'm like, where's the top or the bottom? The other day, I got one that was 100 pages long. Ma'am, we're not reading that. We're not reading that. And so we have trained schools to do software. So fill out the software. And we forgot about the student. It's not about software. It's about the student. And so literally after you read this, anybody could write an IEP that enables a child to progress appropriate in light of their circumstances. And so we don't want anybody's need to override safety or ability or access to education ever.
Right. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And I love, obviously, your commitment to this and the years and blood, sweat, and tears that you have put into this process, because you do communicate it so beautifully, and you've created this resource that I'll be sending to the school down the street so happily.
Are you going to send it with a headshot? It needs to have
I
a like this, Wendy.
I love it.
Yeah.
So good. Like and with a big you're welcome.
Yeah.
Because I think it is, I don't know, my child does not have a learning disability, and but I know what it feels like to feel like you're doing the best you can and have it not feel like it's enough.
Right, right.
Like
All parents
that's
feel that period, right?
right. Of course.
Yeah, I
That's
always say if kids came with a manual, I left all three of mine at the hospital. I probably wouldn't have read it anyway. Um,
right. Who has time to
parenting,
read?
yeah, parenting is already learn as you go from your other amazing relatives. And
Hmm.
then special education, parents with a child with disability, 88% of them get divorced. It takes you out, right?
For
Which
sure.
is the last thing that child needs is more different settings. And so there's so many things that we can do. And as good advocates, we are not looking for perfection. We're looking for a good solid C, a 70. We're looking for progress. Even if I get in a meeting and somebody says, "Oh, I didn't do this, didn't do this, didn't take data," I'm like, that's fine. So going forward, when could the heralds expect this to be implemented with fidelity? And that's it. And so some advocates have a bad name. I'm sure I don't. I'm sure I am loved from sea to shining sea. Yeah.
100%.
But we are there to represent a family. So nobody would go, "Why'd you get a realtor to sell your house? Why'd you
Right.
get a wealth advisor to invest money?" Because that's not what you do for a living. And there's a saying that surgeons don't operate on their own children, right? Because you're too close. I always say often there's two people that are too close, the parent and the school. You are just too close, right? Because we
Sure.
know. And so the great thing about an advocate is that we come in, we see the whole file, we see what's going on sociological, we see what's going on medical, and we can give language to that meeting that didn't exist before.
Hmm. So ideally, are you working with families or are you working with the school district or are there opportunities where you're doing both of those things?
Right. So up until the book launched, I was just living a normal life. And
I doubt that
yes.
very much.
And at that point, I did about 500 IEP meetings a year.
Mm,
And so I train advocates nationally. There's so many people that are ready to switch careers and help kids from the outside in and wear jeans on Friday without paying somebody $5.
yep.
And so I train school districts. I train everybody. I have a team of full-time advocates now because 8.5 million children, we don't have anybody to advocate for them. And they don't get tomorrow back. They can't we'll just wait till that Ford truck goes on sale. No, you need help right now. And so I've switched mostly to training and speaking and professional development so that we can train more people on a larger scale. But the children need the help now. The teacher needs the training now. The paraprofessional needs the training right now. And teachers are great. You give them a plan, they'll roll it out. But we
Mhm.
don't give them a plan. Teachers come to school a week early. They sign 52,000 pieces of paperwork. They have to sit in professional developments that may not be enjoyable. They got to put their bulletin board up, and then we're open Monday. Let's go, kids. And so they're busy doing what they went to school to do, to be a teacher. Nobody went to school and studied a 500-page law book about special education law. Nobody did. And so we need to get the training inside of the school so that the teachers have that information, the evaluators, the leads, and the parents.
Mm, it's so good. You've figured it all out. I have no questions. Like, what do you want people to know? Who should they give this book to?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we should give it to your teachers. Your teachers work their tails off. And this is the only two questions you should ever ask your teacher. Do you want milk or dark chocolate?
Right.
And all other
Exactly.
questions, zip it, right? Teachers are doing their very best. They don't work for you. They're not your employee. Let's dial that back a little bit, right? You don't pay their check. Let's not do that. But when we go back to partnering, we can win. So the law says it's an IEP team, right? School-based members and the parents. And so we've got to fix that gap where it doesn't feel like a team always, right? If I came to your house for Thanksgiving and you said, "Oh, you and your husband get a plate and then go sit back in your car."
Right.
Sometimes parents feel very unwelcomed and
Mhm.
they are just walking through it the best that they know. And we all do it in meetings. We talk in acronyms and IPH and a PCS and a BIP and FIE and a UPS and FedEx and OPI, and parents are just sitting there with their eyes glazed over. And we're like, "You got any questions? You got any questions? You got any questions?" They're like, because they don't know what you're talking about. The first thing that we need to start doing as schools is reaching out to the parent ahead of time on the telephone. Hey, Wendy, we have Billy's IEP meeting coming up March 13th. Just wanted to check in with you. How are things going at home? Anybody moved? Did his brother end up going to college? Let's just talk to parents. Let's stop sending little emails. Do you have anything you want to put in the parent concerns section? Yeah, the parent is the expert. Federal and state law says the parents are the expert. So let's work as a team, as equitable, equal members, so that we can give all of our information so we can make better informed decisions and kids will just flourish.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like, that all makes beautiful sense. And the reason that that's not happening now is what?
Oh, there's a million because we didn't teach teachers.
Right. And you also
we didn't teach the principals. So last year, the Department of Education sent out $900 billion to schools nationally. You don't even have to send a Post-it note back, not an emoji. We got it. We're in Alabama. Thanks for the dough. Right. There's no checks and balances. Exactly. And so education is a state right. It's not a federal right. Special education is a civil right. So it's a federal right. And so we didn't train teachers. They don't know how to write an IEP. What's the point of it? And, I used to think these people in this meeting, they know everything and they're plotting against me to not help James.
Exactly.
They haven't even met each other. This is the first time they even sat in the same room together. Teachers are trying to get to 3:45. They're just paddling to finish the day, right? Mm-hmm. And they're overloaded and we make things more complicated and more complicated and more complicated. And I believe this book is going to, for one part, make it less complicated and make us feel like our participation in the IEP process is valuable and needed.
Yeah. And what I'm gaining also from this conversation and your passion is that although it is directed for an individual educational plan, it's these principles that in practice will change the way that it's affecting the collective.
Absolutely. If we get it right for one child, then that's going to change the way that teacher serves the other kiddos, right? Teachers are like, where did you get that, Karen? Where did you get that resource? And I'm always sending it to people in the meeting. I want to resource them, right? And I'm sure that if I came to you and said, Wendy, what you've been doing for the last 25 years is illegal, you probably wouldn't go, I love her, hashtag. Right. You would go, that's not true, right? Because it would be hard to believe that your coworkers gave you misinformation for the last 20 years. You know why? Because their coworkers gave them misinformation, right? So it's not malice, but we gotta rebuild this thing, right? We've got to get down to the studs. We got concrete and rebuild on all the amazing things that we already do and know how to do. And they're small pivots. We're not asking for a one-on-one. We're not asking for him to have yoga for 2 hours. We're not asking for you to just walk around with him in the meadow all day. We're asking you to teach him strategies to self-manage his disability. And all of us have strategies every day for our day to be successful. So that's what we're doing in special education.
It's so good. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for your work and for your dedication to this. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can get the book, who they should call, who they should give it to, all the things.
Yeah. So it's hardback in case, your first husband's there and you need to pop him on the head with it. Just kidding. Am I? So it's available. I think it's on 130 platforms. Who knew there were that many platforms to buy a book? So go get it. It's amazing. Inside the front cover are QR codes because we know you kids like a QR code. We have free resources, ongoing resources. We have a live academy that I teach every Monday night with hundreds of people, educators all over the nation, superintendents, parents, and it's such an amazing community. We never were a community before because parents can't go to things at night. They're at home. And the community resources each other. The first month is free. Come join us for free. We have hundreds of hours of trainings archived. Stay as long as you want. It's a paid monthly membership. But everything that we have is at specialeducationacademy.com. We're on all the platforms. We have over 1 million followers and average about 9 million impressions a month. We put out 52 pieces of content every day and hope to increase that because the need's endless. The need is endless. And it's not just in the United States. special ed doesn't know borders. And so we want you to have the information so that you, however you sit at the table, can be more effective serving kids.
Gosh, you're phenomenal. Thank you so, so much. I love this conversation and I feel empowered and informed, and I'm eager to share it with my friends that are educators and anyone else that comes to mind. But it's thank you for having such a beautiful resource that is so well done, and you do such a beautiful job communicating it that it makes me feel like me handing it to someone is
Yeah.
going to be helpful.
Yeah, and it's get a box of Kleenex because there's tears because these are stories of kids that I've served for decades. But listen, if I can do this, I promise you anybody can do this. There's no requirements, there's no certification to be an advocate. To listen, I'm telling you, if you are not thrilled at your job and you've walked through an experience of a disabled child, I promise you we can train you to be a full-time special education advocate and serve families at the highest level. It is the most needed vocation, and parents are so relieved when somebody walks alongside of them. And there's not a better honor that we get than to walk alongside a child's educational healing.
Oh, that's so beautiful. We will link everything down in the show notes so people can connect with you and see how they can put on their superhero cape and join this cause with you. This is beautiful. Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you, Wendy.